Buenas, buenas. Quiere decir que soy un placer, un honor de venir aquí y de venir a Sevilla. M- Había muchos años que trabajando con Fernando, Pascual, también o Jaime, que se va más en Madrid. Alors, yo quiero hacer mi charla en español, pero no puedo hacer bien porque me faltan muchas palabras. Las palabras que tengo para ir a comer y para divertir en Sevilla son bien, pero para la charla es más difícil para mí. Alors, pienso que va a cambiar en inglés. You can see that in this slide, what's happened. In 2030, it means in just 5 years, all the world is going down under the threshold, under the line on 2.1. It means that under this line, there is no a new population. All the population is decreasing, and going down. And all the world, we start in France this year, that we have more people dead than born. And what's happened? Oh, we arrive in this situation, or our life is changing. We have a lot of different things around us, surrounding environment, and we know, everyone know, solvent, plastic, disruptor, endocrine disruptor, and they have an impact on the sperm, also on the oocytes. And this impact make a defect of the production and the work of the sperm and decline the fertility rate. Now, this is more interesting. It's on Lancet, March 2025. It means if a man has more than 120 million in ejaculate, it means there is the volume inside the calculation and the motility. It's not the concentration. If a man have more than 120 million ejaculate, have 3 years more life. It means that is the connection between the motility and the sperm with the life is because all the genes are working together in a network, and they don't have only one job, one work, they change. Sometimes one work with another one, and you can see there is really close work together with this. Perhaps one day, when someone is coming to have a checkup with cholesterol, and we can ask also for the sperm, because it's one new criteria. Now, all the stories start with that. You see, we have that score 6 and score 0. All the study that we did after is based with the two different scores. We labeled. Score 6 has a good one, a good sperm, and score 0, a bad one. With the score 6, we got a blastocyst on day 5 according to Garden classification, but with the 0, never. We can have a fertilization, we can have embryo development, chaotic embryo development, but never an expanded blastocyst on day 5. And this is what we say, why? There is something inside that we cannot understand. And the more important for us is to find a link, to find a correlation between this morphology and inside the thing is working. Because the morphology is just an envelope, it's nothing. All the things is inside with the DNA. We published that. And you see, never we got with a score 0 a blastocyst. Now, we think about different way, and I think we lose time, but it's like that. We don't found the first step, what you are looking for. We thought that there is a problem on the status of the chromosome. Unfortunately not. We try to find a correlation with the DNA fragmentation and the morphology at high magnification. We did not find something very interesting. We look at the architecture of the sperm head inside the chromosome and the telomere, we found different population, but not an impact. We cannot explain. And we go deeper and deeper. Finally, this is for the sperm head. This is no consensus for the DNA fragmentation. There is a consensus for the chromatin. On the chromatin, there is a failure on the compaction of the chromatin correlated with the score 0. It means if there is an open chromatin, it's the DNA is weak because it's open and all the oxidative reaction can make a negative impact. And deeper and deeper, finally, we arrive on a molecular. This is, we publish here on the score 0, there is a level of the methylation more important than NS6. And this is, if the level of the methylation is more important than 1, it means that it's not working well. And we publish that, no, this is a presentation in SRM. We show that there is also for the microRNA. The microRNA come after the post-transcriptomic information to block the RNA. And this is an issue, another. This is the main point. When you have an ejaculate, all the sperm have a different head morphology. They carry on the same DNA genetic information, the same sequences of the DNA, sequences of information in all the sperm in the one ejaculate. But all of them are so different in the methylation profile. All of them have different, and the consequence is the outcome. Some sperm could fertilize, some give blastocyst, some not, some miscarriage, some pregnancy, some birth defect. And this is more important that, can you imagine, if just looking on a microscope, we can make an evaluation, not on the DNA, because the DNA is one thing. The more important is epigenetic, because the DNA is the same again, but it depends of the methylation profile. And if you have the methylation profile here in position of the cytosine, in positions 5, it blocks the gene's expression. The gene is turned off, is switched off, and we don't have an expression. If you don't have an expression, you don't have RNA. And perhaps with this way, we can try to catch something. This is, everyone know that the male infertility is depend on different causes with the genetic, hormonal, varicocele, but this is more important. In 50%, we don't find nothing. Idiopathic, unexplained male infertility, and we don't know why. And we try to go in this population to understand, to try to understand, to find something. And we go to the molecular. You see this sperm isn't score 0 according, it's not the zome. The zome is EMC. The zome is according with 17 sperm parameters. We are working with a score 6 and 0, and this scoring is according to the possibility to get the blastocyst. And we take 0 and 6, and we make a whole sequencing genome, looking at the difference on 0 and 6 on the profile of the methylation. And if you have some genes with high level of the methylation, there is no expression of the genes. But what can found? We know actually more than 30,000 genes in the genome human. Alors, we try to first to see which genes are more expressed in the testis, because the level of the expression of the genes is different according to different part of the core, of the body. If it's on the brain, on the liver, or on the testes. Alors, we see, and we look at that. We also work with the GO. GO is a gene ontology. It's a lot bigger basis to work. And slowly, we also saw when there is a big difference between the 0 and 6 level, we identify 157 genes. We reduce with the genes working in spermatogenesis, in fertilization, and in early embryo development. And we start like that. We define 10. This is a 10. And again, the 10 with high level of methylation, they don't work. It means this is a 0, this is a 6. And you see, this 10, they have a level of expression lower for the 0 than the 6. After, we make different statistic calculations, not me, to identify which is more important and where there is more difference. And finally, we target only 3 genes: CAR, HSP1, HDAC, and ORCA. Now, what is the role of the genes? ORCA is, you can see, the chief, the maestro of the mitosis, because it's involved the spindle during the segregation of the chromosome. And it's easy to understand. If the genes have a high level of methylation, it's turned off, it's not working, you don't have RNA and you don't have a spindle. And if you don't have a spindle, you have a chaotic embryo development. And or not, if it's too high a block. HDAC makes the regulation of the distribution of the methylation radical. This means he decides, HDAC, when put one methylation to stop the genes and one there is not, and leave the genes working. And it's also easy to understand. If the genes is working too much, the risk is the cancer. And if it's working too low, there is a deficit on protein, and we have some systematic disease. Now, the last one is CAR-HSP1. It's not, I don't find a lot of papers. It wasn't in our study, but we found something that when we have a good blastocyst rate, and when you have a good blastocyst morphology, the CAR-HSP1, it's okay. And if it's down, you don't have a good blastocyst. Now, we work with that, an R&D during 3 years, because it's nice to identify this, but what you can do, we must have found a threshold. We must have found a line that we can say, this gene is working well, and this takes more than 3 years to make a different correlation with the 0 and 6, with HDAC, with CAR-HSP1. And finally, we define a threshold around 300. More is normal expression, less it's under. And now, could the sperm epigenome become a diagnostic tool? This is sure. And this is a new way. This is a new opportunity that you have and you must work and to identify, because everything is on this level. And you can see that in male infertility with the sperm parameters, this is normal, this is the first analysis that we need. We can have some sperm parameters, but you don't have an indication on the fertilization rate. I'm going to explain just later. And the sperm parameters is not correlated with the methylation profile. What we have today on male infertility: sperm parameters, morphology, concentration, motility, WHO parameters. But there are physical parameters. It's not functional parameters. It's just a classification: ota, oligo, asteno, teratospermia, azoospermia. And they don't give you predictive indication what's happened with the sperm. We have DNA fragmentation. We have a lot of presentation today that is very important. It's a routine test, and you have the compaction of the chromatin. This is the routine test. More genetic with the fish, we talk also, with the karyotype, and with the microdeletion. But this genes analysis is not in routine. In routine, we have just 3 and the sperm. 4. Just 4 tests for male infertility. And this is why we need to found a new test to open. And we go back at the beginning. You see there is the impact of the surrounding or environmental on the gamete, going on the germ cells, on the sperm. And at this moment, we have 2 ways. One way, sperm parameters that you are doing every day in our labs with this microscope, with this, or the test routine that I just talked about before. Oh, this is a new way, RNA extraction. Because again, when you have sperm parameters, you cannot say that this sperm is going to get a pregnancy. You cannot say, you cannot have a predictive indication of the fertilization rate and the blastocyst rate. You don't have a classification and information of the sperm quality. If you go in this way differently, you make an extraction of the RNA, and there is a lot of RNA. I don't think that we have finished the work, but we work just now with this 3, ORCA, HDAC, and KHSP1, to get the RNA that can extract. And after, there is an amplification with qPCR, RT-qPCR, to see the level of RNA. If the RNA is low, there is a methylation more important and the genes is not working. And again, different in inverse. And this is it was last year, just in November. We include 627 sperm with this technology. And what is the result? Ouais. No hay ninguna nota. Don't worry, it's always like that with me. It's a fluid. Alors, what is the distribution with this test? This test, the name is sperm messenger because you are looking for the message and the message with RNA. And you see, we have 55% of the sperm in the huge cohort of 600 sperm, 65% that have another expression under the threshold that we make a calculation. But there is bias. All the people coming in the lab, they have a problem with male infertility. And all the sperm, there is an alteration. This is why we make a different calculation. We take in this cohort just the sperm with normal WHO parameters. 16 million, 42 motility, and more than 4 for the Kruger. And you see, we go down 37. But I think 37 is too high. Also, perhaps there is some sperm, it looks normal, and there is inside the problem an expression. And look, you take a top sperm with 50 million on a milliliter. The motility 50% on the Kruger 14. You know, 14 on the Kruger is not easy. Eh? And you see, we have 22%. This means that when you receive person in a lab and you have all the tests that you're talking today, important, we have information, but perhaps in sometimes you have a normal sperm, everything is okay, everything looks normal, but it's not working. You don't get blastocyst, you don't get pregnancy, and you don't get more miscarriage, and no, perhaps birth defect, because there is an impact with the level of this methylation. I know what I'm doing now, because people say, yeah, perhaps there is more. Okay. We're going to start a new study with sperm bank donors. Sperm bank donors is normal. It's people coming to give sperm because we quality sperm for make the donors. And we're going to see, and I am sure, perhaps not 20, but minimum 10% of this straw that you are going to make the test to have a low level of genes expression. Now, I have a talk in Kazakhstan. It's another side of the world. And look, they go very fast. You see, she makes this slide. And perhaps you are going something here with you, Pascal and Fernando, to see what's happened. Because, look, here you have under expression. And here, normal expression. Look at the fertilization rate. 78 versus 82. The blastocyst, 38 versus 63 when it's normal. This is all the blastocysts on day 5 and day 6. But when you look at the good blastocysts on day 5, according to the Gardner classification, we have 10% if there is an under expression of the sperm, and 21% if you have a normal expression. Me, I cannot make this work in my lab. I explain you why. Because we have a lot of ICSI, but all of them are going in high magnification. And if you are going in high magnification, we avoid the score 0. We don't take it. We don't inject it. This is why we have a level of fertilization rate around 80-85%. And the normal in France, going from the health authority, is 65. We have 20% more fertilization rate. And if you have more blastocysts, and you see more. This is a short cohort, but something is going inside. I look on the market, what there is on the market for epigenetic tests. I found just this one, and this very important team in America, Timms and Mueller. They make exactly the same system. We don't talk together, but they found a predictive indication according to the gene's expression. But it's not for criticize, it's a very good job and very important person. But the predictive indication is for IUI. Just for that, it means that you are doing this test and they give you a predictive indication, yes, it's working or not. And they sell it for $500 for that. I think it's more wide indication if you are going to have the pregnancy and the blastulation rate. This is after this person have many labs in America, in Matthew. Look, you have men with abnormal sperm epigenetic profile despite similar sperm motility and concentration, exactly what you are saying. We can have a difference between sperm parameters and the expression genes. Alors, we open now a new door, a new investigation. But what is the treatment? What you can do? Alors, the treatment, first, we can apply exactly what you are doing now with DNA fragmentation. You can apply directly with that. Lifestyle, antioxidant. And the difference, if this people is going in IVF, not go in IUI, not go in IVF, go directly in ICSI, because like that you can choose the sperm. And in ICSI, if you can, with max, with your technology, with high magnification, but you need to select the sperm very precisely, like good sperm, according to the strict morphology criteria. And we have just a little study just finished. It's very low cohort, is 28%. We give them an antioxidant treatment during 3 months for the spermatogenesis. We make the genes ORCA, HDAC, CARH-SP1 before 3 months, I said 3 weeks, no, 3 months, 3 months of treatment, and after that, we make the control. And this is the result. You see, the mean of the ORCA was 42, and it's become, after treatment, 105. It means that the radical materials go out with this antioxidant, and the genes can have better expression, more than 2.5%, and is significative. Look now with the HDAC, is 5 times better. But when you compare the 3 genes together, they are not moving for one category under go in a normal, because I think first it's a low cohort, it's very low, but we can see something happen on the methylation profile with an antioxidant treatment, and it's the same with CARH-SP1. In conclusion, we can say that the spermicide is a new tool for male infertility and exploration, particularly if we are unexplained or idiopathic abnormality, or you have low blastocyst rate, no pregnancy, miscarriage, perhaps we can, and perhaps better than to wait that we have something's not working. Perhaps when you're in person after the consultation with the doctor, look at the life and look perhaps if also you have a normal sperm, to ask them to have this test to understand what's happened. And thank you very much for your presentation.